Greetings, this is V with Anonymous News Network, bringing you news in review. Bringing you the news, no matter how bad it hurts. Our top story for the evening comes out of the Syrian town of Jisr al-Shughur in the north by the border of Turkey. As reported on Sunday that 48 protesters were shot dead by security forces in the city. While in turn, on Monday, the government reported that 120 security forces had been shot. The government's explanation is that the protesters had amongst them armed gangs. However, the protesters dismissed this explanation and instead replaced it with an explanation that the vast majority of casualties were caused by the security forces against the security forces, as security personnel refused to fire on the protesters. Amidst a broader trend in Syria of security personnel, and specifically army personnel, defecting from the Syrian security forces and turning towards the side of the protesters, with several reported videos showing up on YouTube and on Al Jazeera. It's impossible to determine exactly what happened in the town because the Syrian government is squelching news reporting in the area. Anything other than the official news media casting is quickly squelched. This has gone as far as an Al Jazeera reporter being detained and eventually deported to Iran, of all places. The next story for the evening comes out of the nation of Bahrain, where for the first time doctors and nurses who had been charged in February with aiding protesters were finally able to be arraigned in court and have access to their legal counsel. While in prison, they were denied access to legal counsel and to prepare for their defense, and they were also denied contact with their families. Upon having contact with their families, they reported many incidents of torture and abuse within the prisons, including but not limited to being beaten with hoses, boards with nails sticking out of them, and being forced to eat fecal matter. In turn, many Western powers who are allied with Bahrain, including the United Kingdom and the United States, have been urging somewhat for the Bahraini government to limit its crackdown. But the most that they've been able to obtain are promises of reform and commitments to change. The next story for the evening comes out of the country of Yemen, as embattled President Saleh is desperately attempting to retain power. Earlier this week, Saleh was wounded as 2 artillery shells reportedly penetrated into the presidential palace, where he was wounded by shrapnel. One of the shrapnel wounds was reported to be 7 centimeters deep, requiring significant medical attention. He's also reported to have burn wounds over 40% of his body, requiring significant medical attention indeed. He's since evacuated the country to Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, to undergo significant surgical procedures, and it's doubtful that he will return in time to the country to be able to resist an uprising against his rule. Meanwhile, his party loyalists promised that Saleh would return to the country shortly and resume power, while the opposition, including the democratic protesters, are doing everything they can to guarantee that he will not in fact return to the country, having celebrated his exit as a major victory in the course of democracy. And now for a bit of lighter news. Lulzsec is once again in the news, having hacked an FBI affiliate, Infraguard, in Atlanta. Infraguard is a public-private partnership between the FBI, security firms, and academics, with the purpose of expanding the FBI's intelligence gathering abilities. The hack consisted of replacing the entire website with a meme video of a disco fan named Dmitry in Russia, whose subtitles have been changed to refer to Lulzsec and the ability of Lulzsec to hack. And that, dear friends, is the real news.